She's holding our daughter like she's a chicken. So she goes straight down the passage to the left. That glass door was their bedroom. He goes in, he throws her against the wall. She hits her head against the wall. She stands up and she punches her with a fist in the mouth. Now she's bleeding.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Safe Space Chats podcast with Madam Speaker. My name is Perseverance Maremeni, also known as Madam Speaker, also known as the CEO of Self Love. I'm not going alone today. I am going with the lovely Nthabi, but I'm going to let her take it away. Hi Nthabi.
Hi Percy, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm blessed.
See, now you are calling me with my government name.
That's how I connect with you. Hey?
Okay.
My Madam
accepted.
Speaker.
Accepted.
The Madam Speaker of the nation.
Yeah.
The one we truly love.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So tell me, who is Nthabi?
Okay, Nthabi is just a simple woman who is a daughter to the late Nthabi Montsho and to my father, Alfred Montsho. But I always call myself Nthabi Montsho Maknene because of the value that my grandmother added into my life, largely in my life.
Okay.
I was raised by my grandmother, who was a very, very powerful woman, a prayer woman, but a no-nonsense taker. You know, she was firm like that. And she was a mother of a nation because I realized that, rather, when we were young and makuba nemisebenzi, or if there is any family gatherings, if she was not there, then umuntu omkhulu akakafiki, you know? So, I'm a mother. I've got 4 daughters, the eldest being 22, youngest being 8 years.
Okay.
I am a mother not only to my children, an author of Women Arise with Power, but I've also authored other audiobooks.
Sure.
But there's a book that is coming out, African Child, You Are Able, which is coming out early next year.
Okay.
But also, I'm a TV presenter. I'm a producer.
Yeah.
I am also a businesswoman. I'm also the founder of Women Arise with Power.
Yeah.
So the name of the book is Women Arise with Power. I had a TV show that ran for 3 seasons called Women Arise with Power. I've got seminars which I host every year without fail. Annual seminars at Soweto Theatre, Women Arise with Power. And I also have a non-profit organization, which I'm founder and president of, called Women Arise with Power. So I'm all for women. I'm all pro-women. I'm a GBV activist and unapologetic about that part of my life.
Sure.
I'm just a simple woman, really, who just loves justice, who loves peace, who is straight. And yeah, that's me. That's me.
So you're so passionate about your grandmother.
Yeah.
Right. I'm so curious to know why.
Ooh. Magnene, my grandmother, I remember when I was little, because my memory is very sharp. I remember from as early back as when I was 4 years old. My mom was working. And wherever she went, she would take me with. Remember now, because I'm the firstborn of my mom and dad and of grandchildren from both my mother and father's side. So I'm the first in every area, right? So because my father's family was not receptive very well of my mom, because of she was a Zulu woman.
Okay.
So my grandmother decided to take me under her wing.
Okay.
So whenever she would pray, she would be praying with me. Whenever she'd be traveling, whether to KZN or to Pretoria, wherever she would be going, she'd be going with me, you know? But more than anything, I remember saying to me, Nthabi, you are so different. Uyinkosi wena. You know, I remember when I fell pregnant with my firstborn, she didn't even want me to touch anything, said, Uyinkosi wena. That's who my grandmother, that's the personal relationship I had with her.
Yeah.
And, you know, even during my struggle times, I would call her and she would pray with me. I remember during my pregnancy when I was rejected, she gave me Psalms 35 and say, when you sleep at night, read that psalm every day without fail. Just light a candle and read that psalm every day without fail, up until the day of my delivery. When I encountered problems, then I saw that she was also a warrior, because she knew, she was quite informed with a lot of things. I realized she was a very intelligent woman. It's just that you don't see that when you're a baby. But I realized that when I did matric, when I was doing my isiZulu paper, and she went and said, ace, 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 ace. And I was like, wow, this woman is so powerful. But not only that, she was embracing. My grandmother got married to a Zimbabwean after two failed relationships, if I may put it like that.
Okay.
And she settled with this man. I saw the love she gave for the African people in general. And for her, the narrative was not, it's not because they're my in-laws. She was genuinely a loving person, you know. So in December 2008, on the 24th of December, she passed away on my hands.
Phew.
So she's very precious. I love her till this day. That is why even in my book, I said I am Nthabi Montsho Kamagnene Mamtimando Bambulunye. That is my grandmother.
Sure.
That is my maternal grandmother. I'm her in so many ways.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I do understand now. Why is it so deep?
Yeah.
But I want us to go back to Women Arise in Power. Why are you so passionate? What drove you or inspired you to be so passionate about women arising in power?
Okay, so Women Arise with Power. Let me just take you back. During my high school years, I was an activist. I was the member of the SRC.
Okay.
I could single-handedly, under my leadership, summon other SRC members to put a school like on a standstill. Because I remember there was this particular injustice that happened in our school where a girl who had once experienced molestation, and she opened this up to me. And there was this particular teacher after assembly, as she was going up the stairs, going to the class, the teacher, not because it was purposeful for her to wear a short skirt, she didn't have. So this particular teacher put his hand and touched his thighs and said, "You are so fit." She came to me crying. It was in the morning after assembly. I remember going to the principal and said to him, "There's this thing that just happened." And he said, "I will address it." I said, "You will address it now?" And he said, "No." I said, "Okay, there won't be school today." Then I called the other executive members and I said, "I want you to call the SRC members." I remember they all came down to assembly. The teachers were asking what is happening. I told the female teachers and they rallied me on. They said, "Don't stop." And I remember saying to them, "You are going to go to each and every class. There is no school because teacher X," I won't say his name now, has done this, and the principal is taking it lightly, and this is sexual harassment. And it should not happen because there were reports of this and young girls were afraid to come out. So I remember that particular day when I said there is no school. I said all learners out from the classes.
Shoo.
They all went down to assembly to go and assemble there. And I remember addressing them. Being a short girl like this, I mean, I'm the chairperson of the SRC. The other executive members are tall, I'm just this short girl doing grade 9, putting whole school in the to the standstill. And I remember during lunchtime, the principal saying, "I'm causing havoc." I said, "Teacher, sir, let me tell you, if you are not going to put this teacher to some sort of disciplinary, we are going to the Child Protection Unit to report this for the sake of this particular girl. But because we know where his family is, we'll go and tell his wife too."
Shoo.
And that is when I said, "I want to see you and all your staff members during lunch." I know people will be watching this. If there's going to be even the people I went to school with, even the teachers who were there, when I was addressing together with my executive, because I was the lead. I was the lead of this whole thing that was happening. And I said, I want to address all the teachers and let them know that this is not acceptable here or ever. It's not going to happen. So I remember the principal, he was going to a meeting and he didn't want to go to that meeting. I said, it's fine. We'll go to the district and we'll report that you are turning a blind eye. Didn't he cancel the meeting? Didn't he come to the meeting? Didn't he apologize? Didn't the teacher apologize to this child? Wasn't I the girl that was feared in the whole school and respected by teachers, female teachers? So Women Arise with Power doesn't start here. The activism and fight for any other injustice or fight against any other injustice started back then. Even when I was young, I would question, why is this thing done like this? No, Gogo, but why? Why am I the one that has to wash the dishes all the time?
Sure.
We've got Uncle, the last born, was there. He's just because he's a boy, he can't wash dishes. But does it mean that I can't work? Because if he's going to work, then he has to provide. So I remember my grandmother would say, hey, Mtakathandi, uyakhuluma. Awuthule. You know, because for me it was just questioning everything that was happening. So Women Arise with Power became what it is in the later in my life, when I myself experienced my own abuse.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I should proceed.
Yeah, I actually wanted to say, I want you to share with me about your own experience with abuse. And because I'm thinking to myself, it's so funny how you are such a strong person and you stand for women, but you still, to a certain degree, succumb to abuse, or somebody feels like the one that stands for other women, is the one that I want to abuse.
Yeah.
How do you get to be in a position where you are in an abusive situation?
Okay, so now the first incident starts when I'm 21 years. I got married when I was 21.
Okay.
I was very young. And I remember I could see the signs, but it was not the signs of physical abuse. But I could see how I used to be disrespected by this person. And I remember telling my grandmother, Ukuthi Gogo, I don't want to get married anymore. And Gogo said, no, man, yes, mshado ufika kayi-1 elifini. You know, our elders. So that I think in their understanding was just to try and mold, you know, because there was already a child in the picture.
Oh, okay. So that's what I wanted to ask to say.
So we had a baby, which he rejected, only got to meet the child when she was only 3 months old.
Okay.
And that's when he came back and he asked for forgiveness. And he said he wanted to be in our lives. At some point, he told me that the spark is gone and I accepted it. And later on, he came back. And for me, Pela, I don't know these things. Madam Speaker, when it comes to Izinto Zomjolo, I think I was the dumbest person.
Sure, but you were young.
Because no one really prepares us. You know, when you talk about such things, our parents would shut us down. Yeah, so that type of rejection, when you start asking difficult questions to elders, is what make us to actually go and make, you know, or take wrong decisions. So that's the first part. That's the part of my life where I got to understand what abuse is. But it was after about full 7 to 8 years of physical abuse. I remember we got married in 2002, 30th of March. In January, I was already experiencing my first dose of physical abuse. And what he told me was that you need to understand that marriage is not a bed full of roses. So even though I'm a minister in the church.
Wait, so this person that you were married to, that you had a baby with, who was abusing you, is a minister of a church?
100%.
Okay.
And he said to me, we ministers also are people and we get angry. Okay. So behind the clergy, there's a man.
Okay.
So my father used to do this to my mom, but she never used to tell people. So when it happens to you, not that I'll be hating you, it is because I'm a man and it happens and it's natural.
So he's grooming you because he saw his mother
being abused.
Being abused.
Exactly. And now being groomed like this, he already prepares to shut my mouth.
Okay.
He says, good women don't tell. Umfazi uhlakaniphile uhlala phezu kweindaba zakhe. So it was grooming. So when it happened, I didn't tell. Until later in my life, I think a few years down the line when I was feeling that this is too much. Because this is the part where you are a Mamfundisi in the Methodist Church. Methodist Church is a very big church. And people see you as a young, beautiful couple because he was a handsome young guy, you know, even though he was about 6 years older than me.
Sure.
He portrayed himself as innocent.
Sure.
When behind closed doors, it was actually not the matter. The disrespect, the sleeping around, the impregnating of girls in church, the abuse which was happening, the mjolo with the members of the church. The very same people we are leading. You understand?
So when you were just
So it was traumatic. And I remember at some point in my life, I became like a zombie.
True.
Because I'm living like this. I work for a bank. I'm earning good. He's in my medical aid. I've got a credit card. I've got checkbooks. And you know, at a young age, when in your 20s, you've got all those perks and you are doing well at work. And this is what is happening behind closed doors. Ultimately, that will affect your work.
It'll take its toll on your work.
And also, it will strip you of your self-worth
Sure.
and your self-esteem, where when you walk, you will feel like everybody can see. That's what abuse does to you. You feel like you're naked, like everybody can see your struggles. So when I said enough is enough was on the 15th of December, 2008, when he became extremely abusive in that particular day. Not that other instances were light, because there's a part in my life, there's a moment in my life when I was pregnant with our now 16-year-old daughter. He kicked me on my stomach over and over again. You know, I've written about such things in my book. And he then drove me off to Howick Hospital. I remember the doctor saying to me, "Who did this?" And I said, I was mugged.
Sure.
Because remember, I was groomed. And I'm a young girl, you know. And that was the first time when, you know, D500 Samsung, those flip
Yes, the
phones,
flip ones.
where you could now do MMSs and do videos. It was exciting. I remember that he took a phone on contract with me after he beat me. For me, rather. After he
Okay.
beat me. At MTN, it was in KZN. And I remember taking pictures, sending to my uncle, saying, Malume, I was afraid to talk, but this is the life I'm subjected to. I took pictures of this formed face with blue eyes, and I was pregnant. And my uncle told my mom, and my mom then said, what did I do to this guy? Because umfundis, he can never do that. Umenzeni?
Your mom?
My mom. And I remember it was a very difficult journey, because even when I decided to divorce, there was no support.
Sure.
I think I had brought shame in the family. And I remember she said to me, if I'm going to divorce this guy, I must leave her house.
Sure.
And the treatment was not nice, because noma ngabe you have done something, she would look for mistakes, you know. And she would say, yeah, it's because singabafazi abayithu sihleli la endlini. So I then decided that, you know what, I'm going to look for a room to rent. I didn't have money then, so part of the agreement was that he will rent for me, because remember, he also had somebody, when I decided to leave, he already had an affair, so he couldn't wait to get rid of me.
You, yes.
Because there was this hot affair that he had with our congregant, whose mother was very close to me.
Ha.
You know? So he paid for that rental. But I remember on the day that I left, when I said, Mama ngiyahamba, and she took my clothes, and my kids' clothes was lahlela plastic in a black, was lahlela ngaphandle, tuhambela nabantwana bakho. You know, she was an angry person. And I remember taking my clothes and saying, Mama, I'll leave you with these kids. If you kill them, it's okay.
Sure.
it will be on you, but I'm leaving because I see there's no peace in this house. And I left, and I went to rent a room in Dlamini 2, some back room where people didn't know me. And that's where I went to stay. And there was nothing. I had taken 2 blankets, and I went, before I left, these outside storage boxes. There was a 2-plate there, an old 2-plate, which was working 1 plate.
Yeah.
And I also took an old pot from outside, and I went into the house and I took an old spoon, old cup, old plate, so that at least even when she can shout at me, I didn't take
the new stuff.
the stuff that she needed.
But the time when you moved out and you decided that you don't want to be married to this guy anymore, had you already given birth to a baby? What was that thing that made you decide to say, today is the last kick of a dying horse?
So now, when I decided that I'm moving out, let me tell you, it's not a nice experience to relive, but I will share it anyway. So we were packing because the church was sending him to Harding, KZN. And fortunately, by the grace of God, there's a friend of his who stays in Middleland, Soweto, next door to his house, who wanted to come visit us because he wanted to experience the sea, the beach, because we were staying in Durban. So Mandla came, right? I know he doesn't mind me saying his name because I'll forever be grateful to that guy. So Mandla comes, and so we were busy packing. So our daughter was 7 years old then. She was playing there. And when kids see visitors most, they just want to be seen around visitors. They'll just be playing there. And I guess it irritated him. So what he did, he then takes this child. When I come from the bedroom door, main bedroom door, as he's going down the passage, he's holding our daughter like she's a chicken. So she goes straight down the passage to the left. That last door was their bedroom. He goes in, he throws her against the wall. She hits her head against the wall. She stands up and she punches her with a fist in the mouth. Now she's bleeding. All of this thing is happening. I'm standing there at the door. Everything is happening very fast. And I'm asking him, what are you doing? And he says, uyahlupha uzingihleli nabantu abadala la uloku uyasdisturba la. And I said, so uyamshaya ngenqindi emlomeni. The child is shaking. And I said, you've been doing this to me for many years, not with my child. I grabbed him and I hit him. And I hit him so hard because I guess it was the anger that was in me for so many years. That I'm succumbing myself to this type of treatment.
And now it's
somebody
going to the
is
kids
cheating,
now.
they are disrespecting you. You are only good enough when you have money or you are able to provide. But as you being loved naturally, it's not there. So I remember that day when I fought with him. I realized that he didn't have that much strength.
After so many years of you being beaten up, you only realized last minute.
And I remember that when that incident happened, he could see that I'm aggressive now. What he has built and
created an
groomed
animal
over
and a
the
monster
years.
in you. Yeah.
And mind you, already even in my outlook, my skin was like I'm another person.
Yeah.
It feels like I had that because my skin was like this, it's not me, And so when he saw that I had that strength, remember it's guru guru guru, and that house was quite a big house, so people who were on the other end would not even hear, So I'm not used to these fights. Whenever he would beat me up, he would target my head. He would step on my head every time he hit me. I think Bekmeling. And I'm grateful that I'm saying this because even one of his cousins who once stayed with us had witnessed this and said, Mama, this guy Nthabi. The way he does to this girl, Mama, it's not okay. I remember even some of his family members, this lady's mother particularly saying, Nthabi, it's not healthy, my baby. Marriage is not supposed to be like that. What do I know?
True. Because your own mother does not support you leaving this marriage.
My mom, when I go to her, she says, Umenzeni. And on that particular day, it was living proof that you don't have to have done something to somebody to beat you.
Yeah.
And I am living proof of that. You don't have to have done something. If somebody has got anger issues, if somebody saw their father do this to their mother and they don't want to take it as a lesson and they want to continue to perpetuate violence, you don't have to have done something. It's something that somebody is premeditating.
Sure.
In some instances, or at least in my particular
case, yeah.
So, mangihleli lapho ngikhathele phela. Ama-muscles abuhlungu.
From fighting.
From fighting. Ngibona ngihleli phansi my daughters, because we already had two. The one that when he was kicking me over and over in the stomach survived. She survived, so I gave birth to her.
Okay.
And throughout that pregnancy of that particular one, after that incident, he didn't beat me up. So I had a good break.
Okay.
There, And then ngibona my daughter uyachama. Uyashake, uyascreama, baba ngicela ungambulali umama. When I look up, uphethe imbazo. Uzongikapa ngembazo.
Because physically you are defeating him physically, so he's bringing an axe now.
Now he's bringing an axe. So, so that was the reason that when I called the police, whenever I would call the police, obviously, umfundisi, he can't be arrested.
Yeah.
So you understand my plight that day.
Phew.
When I said I am going to be part of the activism
during
during that march.
Yeah.
I remembered my own story. When you go to the police and I remember that particular night, they moved him out and he disconnected my DSTV. And the last words he said was that, Mangibuya la, wena nabantwana bakho. Angifuni ukunibona, otherwise ngizonibulala.
Sure.
That's what made me to leave. And unfortunately for a lot of women who are experiencing abuse, for a lot of them, it takes a near-death experience for them to realize that this is not it. This is not it. So fast forward, I divorced the following year.
Excuse me.
I divorced and he remarried that congregant of ours.
Yeah.
Okay. Who was very harassing me as well when we were still married with this man. I think she was already promised. I mean, there's a moment when I got evidence of messages that which came from him saying, give me time.
Okay.
And one of the congregants
okay.
blew a whistle and said, Mama Fundisi, please come. And I want you to interrogate this woman because I know there's this thing. Fundisi is having an affair with this girl. And I demanded to see her phone. She took out the phone and said, Fundisi, I see him. It's him who sends me messages. And I saw messages coming from him saying, I love you. Wow. Give me time. I'll get rid of her.
Wow.
And God is my witness. And I know she may listen to this or he may listen to this. He will remember this. It was on a youth at Wesley Guild revival that was going to happen. And I saw those messages and my heart sank because here I am sacrificing everything I am. Whenever I would be working Standard Bank, whenever the church would send him, I would also get, transfers. And by the grace of God, it would be transfers that would come with a higher grade, which meant more salary, where I would support him more because in the ministry, there wasn't much money. And with everything else, this is what he was doing. That's how he thanked me.
And how did the treatment now, how did the church treat you or handle, how I really want that part. That is very, very important for me. Because it's relatable to a lot of people who get divorced, especially when they are in the church.
Percy, a huge chunk or a huge percentage of women in the church are pro-gender-based violence by action.
Yes.
I remember when I decided to leave, there was this particular Mamfundisi. Apparently she's late now. I won't mention her by name. She said, because bazongena emission namantombazane. And I already knew that there was somebody who was sleeping there even when I was still married. She would sleep there, Ntombazane. She would sleep there, emission. No Musa.
Shoo.
She would sleep at the mission house and leave evidence that she was there. That's how cruel she was.
Yo.
And her image was very innocent. She had a very low voice, but her actions were very cruel because she contributed indirectly and directly to my and my children's abuse.
Do you not feel like maybe, how people treat you, it's like they see how your husband treats you, right?
Uh-huh.
And they see you accepting the disrespect and enabling it, right? And there is no other way people can look at you and give you any other type of respect when you have been accepting that.
Funny, the abuse was not evident. Remember, I was hiding. I was protecting. Percy, the first time I bought makeup, Mina, was not to make myself look good, was to camouflage the blue eye. So that on Sunday, Mangesontrain, appear with my beautiful smile.
But then the
As though
cheating
nothing
and
has
the babies
happened.
which were being made, were those not evident?
Remember, when that happens, let me tell you, and I'll take you through a mind of an abused woman. You become suppressed. That is why I understand when you would tell somebody leave if they don't want to leave.
Sure.
Because something in them has been suppressed, something has been taken out. You feel like you owe yourself to make this marriage work.
Sure.
That is why, Percy, when I got married the second time round to my recent ex-husband, whom I proudly divorced recently, it became much more easier for me because I knew what I deserve.
Sure.
I married him in 2019. I wrote about it in the book. I didn't know about narcissism until I met him.
Okay.
And here is this person who's love bombing you. You don't know the kind of love. When about rekele di flower, bar artsamaye. Ka tšhelete how that. Le tsamaile ko holiday.
Ka tšhelete ya hao, with your own money.
Ya phela ke re berekile ke ntse di projects. A ke re kopane a sobele next kana ko eo. Ana ko re kopana nana.
So sharp wena o bob the builder when.
Ne ke sa tsebe.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know until I realized my power. Because I'm an empath. So I'm that person that is always constantly helping other people.
Sure.
So even when he came crying tears, and I know that's his signature. Whenever he goes to people, he cries tears, serious tears. And you remember when he came to me for the first time, no, I'm going through a divorce. I'm divorcing my ex-wife. I've been doing nothing but good for this woman. I was a millionaire and I lost everything. She was never satisfied. She didn't want to go to school. She didn't finish schooling. I even faked her own matric certificate so that she can look good to other people. She came saying all these things to me. These are the things he was saying, not knowing Guti. It's a narcissist discrediting the poor woman.
Sure.
Because he wants to gain favor with me. And because I don't know better. And I'm thinking, wow, what a good man. And how he calls you Ntlovukazi, with that Ntlovukazi wena. I mean, women want to hear that, right?
Sure.
So when it happened, because very quick, I remember on the day when I was traveling to New York, that's the day he proposed. And I was planning to expand my life and do things with my life. He proposes me on that particular day, and I'm thinking, ish, okay, I had plans, but now I'm shado futhi, and it looks like this time
it's going to work out.
It's going to work because of how he's doing things. The way he is, wherever we go, he even tells people that this woman changed my life. I think if you can go to his Facebook and go and check the photos and all these, you will see how in public he showered me with so much love. I'm love bombing. I didn't know it's love bombing. And wait until it's the both of us in the house. Wait until it's the both of us. I remember this incident when we went to this the space that we normally would hang out at C4 Grill Lounge in Omonde. On that particular day, there were strippers. So I felt uncomfortable being in that space. I said, and he didn't want to leave. And the moment when we got home, he said, "Bengazi ukuthi unje." I was like, "What do you mean?" Those were his words. That's how, now by his own admission, that's how he used to treat and say things to his ex. But because she didn't know better, he would say in his own words, "Bengazi ukuthi ngimshaye to the core." That was him.
And you sitting here thinking he could do the same to me? Or...
And I said, "Oh, so you want to go being the person that you are? You don't care about our dignity. You don't care being the people that we are, being the public figures that we are. What will people say? What message are we speaking to the people?" And he would say, "Bengas." He would keep on emphasizing, "Bengas." He's trying to make you. I didn't know. At first, I used to succumb and try and look at, now that he's saying this, what is it that I don't see about me that he is saying? So I tried to search. Up until this particular time, I said, "When are you? You are really sick." Because he would even do something. Percy, he would say something. Ati gimi, mhlambe, uyislima wena. Because that's what he used to tell me, being shot is slima. You know, muntu ongafuni ukufunda, ongafuni ukwenza nix. Then I would say, mama, papa, I'm not so and so that you said is, you know? And he would immediately change and he would say, "I didn't say ukuthi uyislim. You are this one who just said uyislim." So he's playing with your mind. So I was like, Nthabi, activist.
That's actually what I wanted to get to, back to, because remember when you were an activist at heart from a very young age, and how you allowed yourself, to go through all of that you went through. And now I'm thinking to myself, did it at any point in your life register to you, this Nthabi that these people are abusing is the same Nthabi who made a school come to a standstill? Because did it ever cross your mind?
I remember when it came back, when I saw that I'm losing myself. I remember I'm getting tired. And I realized I'm sinking into depression. Because in public, this guy, mind you, he would even share pictures. I mean, when I travel, I love to use flights. I introduced him to that life. So he must travel when you go on holiday. Let's use flights. I even said, teach even his biological kids. Take the kids, use flights, let them experience. Because my children, when they travel, they know or tumble. They know it's flights, we go to holiday. That's the life that I had given to my kids. So when he came into my life, I introduced that type of life to him. Sure. Secondly, I also saw that I have favor with a lot of people because of the work that I've been doing all these years. So he would forcefully want to be part of the circles that I'm in so he can take from them. I'll make an example. I got a project which was around, I won't say X, but it was, it was a life skills, Lesedi life skills program, which I designed and I dreamt about, and God woke me up in the morning before he was even in my life. At the time when he came to my life, and I realized when he quickly now proposed, was after I got the news that the project had been approved. I got called by this guy in Netherlands and said, "Nthabi, the project has been approved."
He's securing the bag.
He was securing the bag.
Sure.
So you don't see all of that because he's giving you and showering you with all of these things. He won't allow you to make breakfast. "No, I'll do breakfast for you." And then by end he would come and joke and say, "Hey, yes." Well, I thought it's a joke. Maybe it was, but maybe it wasn't, you know? And then he then wanted contacts of the MD.
Okay.
And I remember I had an office in Johannesburg in Marshalltown. We were sitting, it was in the evening. I was putting together a project plan. His own evil self kicked in again. And I showed him the project plan, beautifully made. And he said, "What is this? I told you should give me contacts of the people from VOPEC, and I will do this project far better."
Wait.
Mind you, says Shadile, because everything happened quick. When I came back from New York next month, the following month we are shut. So everything is happening fast, and you know, man, my testimonies, people, within 6 months we got married. So it was more of like, okay, Lord, you know. But let me tell you the truth. I could feel in my spirit, which there's something off. Because even he knows, and I've said this several times, I think in our open talks, when people ask, how did you meet? And I would clearly and openly say, this guy felt like he's too much noisy for me. When he would try to talk to me and pursue me. He would tell me, Uguti, I see you've got a project, I can make it work. But I looked at a guy who had his own projects, which he could not make it work. And before he came into my life, I would ask myself, if angakwazi ukuzenzela kama project, uzoyenza kanjani? He would call me and I would listen to him talk for an hour non-stop. And I would even stand up and somebody's at the door because he irritated me. But somehow I'm in with this person and I'm in marriage with this person. And you question yourself when you are being lump-bombed by a narcissist. Hey? And because you see he's doing all these things and then suddenly he would do something. And then when he comes back to his senses, this is what he would say. Uyazi ukuthi anginangqondo. Wena uwekuphela ungikhonayo. Uwekuphela ungangikhona wena sithando sami. Uyamazi umyeni wakho ukuthi akanangqondo. We understand?
Yeah.
Ngiyaxolisa. So I remember this particular day and I said, Nthabi saying, you don't need all of this. You don't even need him, you know? And I remember it was after the incident when he broke my hand for my car. He wanted to drive away with my car. I bought a car, Percy. I did not even enjoy my car. Largely, I would be using Uber because he'd be using the car, which he refused to pay for.
How did you get a guy to use your car while you are using an Uber?
Mind you, ngibuze. Because namanje I'm thinking, guys, mhlambi black magic yasebenza. If it is for a small period, it worked for him. If it was, and I'm saying this because naturally, Nthabi saying ninje. No one would even dare, even say something and I let it go. I would come and call it to order, and I'll be unapologetic and I'll let you know that this was wrong.
Sure.
But what he would do, he would wait until I'm broke. When I have money, when there's money coming in, he would be the most loveliest person. But when I am broke, mind you, he gets business. Imali mayingena, I would see a totally different person. Pheli imali yami. Oh, ngicela 1,000 yoyenzinwele. Angifuni. Pheli imali yami. And that's the incident that led to the breaking of the hand on the 22nd of December. How there's business that I was supposed to, that was mine, and I gave to him, okay? And because he has a training business, so we use that business. So when money comes in, he doesn't tell. He's acting out.
Okay.
Now he wants to, and he was already having an affair to some other lady, and already I knew in my mind that I didn't want to be part of this marriage. One, because I see there's narcissism. I started to research about narcissism. I started to see, so this guy, Magayenza Ganj, and I would bring him back the master of manipulation. Bring him back as vita content of how evil and cruel women are. I remember Mangim Bakangi, do you hate women so much? I hated my mother for what she was. It is so every woman. The poor woman that you lied about and said she is stupid, she is this and that, but I'm seeing these things go away when Uzenza gave me and you were blaming it on her. And I also realized that now because he was using the same method to buy a favor from this particular woman who became decent enough and said, Sis Nthabi, let me tell you the truth, what happened. This is what he said, this guy, to me about you, and namang phone. In fact, he even said, he's a TV personality.
Wow.
Whenever we'd go into spaces, he wants to shine on my shine. I can't go into a space and shine and just be me and work. It has to be him who takes charge, who takes over everything that I'm doing. And I'm like, this is not me.
Nthabi, the one thing that I want to ask is that because from the first marriage and the abuse that happened, which is completely different to the second marriage and the abuse that you face there, how does that make you feel in a sense? Because remember, when you get married for the first time and you get divorced, you really want to, I don't know, okay, maybe from my own point of view or my own experience, for me, I feel like, okay, after seeing other people's problems, it is possible to get married again and get divorced again and get married again and get divorced again. But what are the things that you take with you from the first marriage that you make sure that when you go to the second marriage, you will not, or is it because it's a different type of abuse that you experience? Because I feel like there are supposed to be lessons that you learn from the first marriage that you make sure on the second marriage you protect yourself from certain things. Yeah.
So this is what abuse is different. And mind you, I got married. I divorced in 2009, and I remarried again in 2019.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's 10 years break.
So that's a gap. Not that life didn't happen in between, but these are the major incidents of my life.
Yeah.
2019, I get married to this person who, even in their appearance, they show as though they are matured. And it is possible, guys, be careful. And women should be really careful. There's men who are out there to go and they just suss and seek prominent women. Abafunus no mauban, because they've got an agenda. So unfortunately for me, I was one of those women who were targeted. For whatever reason that he had, it was only known to him, which was only manifesting in the moment when we were now together, you know? And unfortunately, I'm not going to sit here and say I cannot. Of course, there's lessons that I learned from the first marriage, which I know, Uti, when I came into the second marriage, I did my best.
Sure.
I was loving, humble, everything that is expected of a woman. But also, I was making a life for myself.
Sure.
Because in the first marriage, I kind of stopped everything for this marriage to a point of
That's
even
a very big lesson,
leaving my
actually.
job. But now, this time, I'm also doing me. So me doing me is intimidation. Instead, it becomes a place where if they cannot benefit anything from you doing you, then they will start to twist things and even share rumors to people, which are lies, so that they can bazibonakaliswe ngathi abantu aba-right bona. So I can't sit here and say, surely they could have. There's no such. Even to the most prominent women, I can speak about Abo Miriam Makeba.
Yeah.
I can speak about powerful women who had actually, when you look at them, you ask themselves, but how? I think I'm also part of that. Would say, okay, with me, what is different is that when I realize, Nthabi, you are sinking. Secondly, when I was doing evaluation, this is not what was promised.
Sure.
So this is not marriage. This is
Yes.
not love. When you look and evaluate on your projects, when you do your work, and how much they just want to keep on taking. When it's their time to give, it has to come with very painful terms and conditions. And I went and I said, okay. And when I looked back and I said, how are my children being affected? Because these are the children that I raised very well.
Yeah.
Everybody will tell you. For many people who come into my home, that place is homely. I've got well-disciplined children, from my 22-year-old right to the little one. So when children were now being affected by this, I was thinking, how is the future of my children going to be like? You know? So I had to consider a lot of things, and I said, Nthabi, is this worth it? And I said, no, it is not. And unfortunately for him, the person that he was now involved with, which he would even and how I discover about that incident, that the affair is when we were driving from one of our friends in the Val, and people are sick. And I'll say this, people are sick. I married a sick man. By his own admission, now I understand why he was saying, I'm sick. It's just that as an empath, you'll keep on saying, no, you're a good man. You want to affirm, you'll be okay, you'll be okay. As giant as he is, bengimbeka nasesifubeni ngimcomfort, uthi no uzoba right. Kanti umuntu ozaziyo ukuthi it's just a crocodile type of tear that is happening. He's waiting for the right time to strike. So I could sense I had bengimthengele phone, right? Telephone contract that looks exactly like mine, because ngithanda ukuthi manginento nawo ube nayo angithi.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm also teaching you ukuthi nawe wenze the same to me, angithi. So when we came back, I discover ama messages, he's the one that's texting this woman. Ebusuku ngithi, oh, this guy makangalalanga ebusuku athi uyasebenza ubusy nelona. I screenshotted the messages and I sent them back to my phone and I asked him, who is this woman? And he looked at me like this and said, wena mawucabanga ubani? And I knew, oh, it's the narcissism. It has kicked in.
Mind games.
Mind games. Yeah. And then what he did is that he said, no, umngani, kamngani wam, who was the best man at our wedding, by the way. And I said, wena, textana nabangani bakho in the early hours of the morning. And he said, yeah, okay, no, but again, angizokuprovela sizohamba siye ku this guy. Ngiyokuprovela ukuthi ngempela there's nothing happening. Mina, I keep quiet, but I remember the words I said. I said, I'm tired of you. It seems as though you don't care about my image or your image for that matter. And it seems as though you are in a mission to destroy me and to break me. And I won't allow you. I promised you when I got involved with you that I'm going to be nothing but good. I'm going to love like I've never been hurt. But when you decide to hurt me, I'm going to go straight to God and say, God, I did this and I did this and this is what he did. Ngizokubhayisa kuNkulunkulu. And ngikunikeza bakithi namadlozi akithi angidilele nawe ngikhathele wo. And I kept quiet. The next thing, he drove a police station. A Montsho police station. He pulls off there, takes out the car keys from my car because I know him. If I had followed him immediately, he was gonna leave me there and drive off to wherever he wanted to go, right? So that then he would say ngimshiye police station. He would do that. Mangimkhuza something just to prove that he can be bully to me. He can just drive and angishiye lapho bese sekahamba. He once left me in the evening at that lane. Mind you, if only flat, I have no means of calling Uber. He just decided to drive off.
With your car, can't?
No, then it was his old Skorokoro car.
Okay.
You know. So I follow him a police station, Pagat. Mangene a police station, Tolumuntu Twelizand. Like this. Yo, Msizen, tell my police. Ngithulile mangene. Ngama police, otherwise kuzofumuntu. Maphoyisa yini kwenzakalana ngithi sengiyamazi mina unedrama. I already know him. So makangena lapha acela amaphoyisa kwenzakalana. Athi this woman is threatening me. You see your face? That's how I was. Narcissists will make you like you are the crazy one. Ngene lapha yana athi ufuna ngicela even amaphoyisa ngifuna ukuthatha impahla zami ngikhathele lo mfazi. From a good trip coming back to me discovering these messages, to me saying these words, to him pulling off at the police station, and then to him doing that. And I'm saying this because I want to say it because it is the truth. Drama. This lady where police ati Sisi, don't I know you? I said Sisi. Atu uyamaz. She's a TV presenter. She's not what she says she is. I said Sisi. Uyangazi impela. Yes, I'm on TV. Ngicela nimpeni vendo but. Ngathi bathi ngicela isikhiya semoto yami. No, I can't give it. Ngathi ngicela isikhiya semoto. Ngathi guys, amaphepha emotweni emotami asemotweni. Ahlala emotweni. Or else ngicela ukuvula icase. And then when amaphoyisa said, "Buti, uzoboshwa." Imoto yakhe phela mawuzohamba ngemoto yakhe, this is theft. Then that's when he handed over the keys. And I remember that particular day when we were saying, it's okay, nizongilandela, hayi, siyakwazi ukuzihambela. From a person who was loving, if my friend Yolanda and her husband was here, they would say, they were shocked even when I was sharing with them, Guti, this is what had happened. But it was something that I was no longer surprised because I knew he'd had multiple characters in him. So when I drove into the house, I remember I went into the complex and like I was laughing because I was laughing at the drama. My daughters are asking me, Mama, what happened? And I said, your girls, you won't believe what happened. So I related to them what happened. And then they say, but uyahamba ushrek, Mama. Ngathi bantwana bami uthi uzolanda impahla zakhe. But yo, angasabuyi. They were tired.
Yeah.
So makafika, The intention was for him to frustrate me for the month of December.
Okay.
So that he can just take a few of his items. Azobuya. That is the day I said, Mamela Gebut. Lent. You are part of it by virtue of you being married in community of property. When I went to seek for this house, you were not there. So, ngicela uthathe kwasani yakho. Uphume uhambe ungaphindi ubuye. And he took things. He was so pompous, pushing my kids out of the way. And I looked at him, and I was saying, Sinalo. Because asilazi kusasa silisiphathelene. Thatha into zakho kahle. We understand? But I knew that I didn't want him anymore. But he left anyway. And the next day, the lady called me and said, Ungapha. So the intention was for him to go ayohlala na that lady, because already the lady had we had conversation which that this is what he said about you. I said, oh no, I'm not surprised, because that's exactly what he said about his wife.
Yes.
So that's what he will do. I mean, he said he bought you a house, he bought you a car. Dear, like right now on your show, I bought my own stuff, but not even a single day did I ever speak for my stuff.
Sure.
Up until such a time I was tired.
Yeah.
And I said, it is enough. So I decided to leave.
And
I filed for divorce in December. During the time when of course, we were doing the settlement, he was frustrating me, but I was praying. And by the grace of God, the settlement, everything favored me. And also, he was already trying to find favors. Ashela umngani wami usiso sebenza a court, so that he could find favors. But unfortunately for him, he didn't know that. That also helped me, because it helped me to fast track ukuthi asayine amaphepha. If it was not for that girl akade loku amthembisa ama lunch, ngithi mfonele ukulethela lunch lapho.
Sure.
It was not going to be. I was going to be frustrated. But in March, my divorce was finalized.
Your divorce
and I'm
was
so
listen, congratulations to you. I'm actually rushing you because we have very little time that is left. But I really want to know, ne? Okay, I wanted to know, Hore, how did the whole thing affect the kids and how are they now? Before we move on to this thing that I'm seeing, because there's something on your finger. Mama, you must pour this luck on me as well. I also want the luck. So before we move on to the thing, quickly, I just wanted to know, Hore, the kids, how are they now?
The kids were not well.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, in the beginning, they were not well. In fact, now, because we are talking. Remember, when he left, wabalega nemali this guy. So he ran off with rightfully my money. And in him running away, he left me broke. And it was at the time when we were expecting that money to pay and cover other things. And he decided to do for his own children and leave my own children stranded. When I used to do for his children, I would maintain those kids without fail every month, no matter how broke he was, no matter how long broke he was, because I'm a mother. I love children. I loved his children like they're my own. So my kids were affected because they started to share things about him that I didn't. One of the things my daughter shared was, Mama, bekasifihlele ukudla. Maungekho wena mhlambe I would be gone for 5 days or whatever. He would be complaining about food abafihlele ukudla. Also, now that's poverty mentality. I understand now that's where he grew up. He grew up in poverty. I mean, bengibona ngendlela makanemali, the way he would want to hog into the money.
Kind of when you have poverty mentality, now, even when you have money, you finish it quickly because you're not used to having money and you don't have that wisdom on how to use the money. Exactly.
And now Entle says to me, Mama, sometimes masigeza beka nokungena lapha ebathroom. Avule. And we were naked. We understand. I didn't know all of these things. So it is by the grace of God that other things did not happen.
Sure.
But a lot could have happened.
Yeah, true.
A lot could have happened.
Sure.
By the grace of God again, they were able to go through some sort of counseling.
Yes.
Even though it was not face to face, if I may put it like that, because the person who was counseling them was outside of South Africa. He was in Malawi. And he kept on by opening up to them and teaching them and telling them, you know, and counseling them and allowing them space to open up and vent. And he used the word of God to bring them back into alignment. And it had been a struggle. I don't want to tell you lies, but I'm that mom who was saying, "Bantwana bam, the person who has done all of this to you because you opened up to him is living his best life.
Sure.
He's a narcissist. He doesn't even care about your pain and the hurt." And my little girl, I mean, she was 3 years when we were together, and she knew him as the dad.
The dad, yeah.
So, and she would be bold sometimes. It's not being bully daddy, you know, because that's what she knew him as a dad. And the pain that he had left with that child. And this person, by and by, really helped. And opening up and talking about such things, and also counseling them as a mother, because I am a counselor as well. It has helped. It continues to help. But I think what becomes more evident, because my kids failed when he was there. They were not even doing well in school. I'm looking at my daughters. My eldest daughter is now even working. She did, you know, she's been studying, doing other courses. She's doing very well. You know, she's progressive. She's studying with the University of Zurich now, even though it's like long distance. And then she's working. Lesedi, I'm looking at 90%, 96%, 96%, 90%. I'm looking at Entle, level 7, level 7, level 7, level 6. I'm looking at Nisi, who had to repeat a grade, level 6, level 6, level 7.
So
and I see that the grace of God is there, but the impact of this person who was a stranger to them, because he became that to me as well. He spoke into my soul. He healed me in so many ways. In so many ways. For the first time, somebody was able to touch me in such a deep level, and it also went into my children. And I'm
so
really
glad.
grateful for that.
I love happy endings, and the way that the kids have turned out is really giving us the happy ending that we want. But there's this other happy ending which is here. We are closing off now. Tell me about this happy ending. Happily ever after.
Hey, Marana Pez. I
I remember with everything that we go through as women, it's not always all bad, and not all men are all bad.
No,
because you are here to prove that,
I'm here.
and I love it for you, and I'm inspired. So you have to share.
But I was not here to prove that. But again,
No,
because
for me.
For you, sister.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. No, I have someone special in my life. Someone very, very, very special.
I love it for you.
Very special.
Yeah.
In my life, in my kid's life. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. No, you don't have to reveal like a whole lot of details.
I'm not even revealing, but
Yes.
he's an amazing human being who continues to pour into me when all the years I've been the one who's pouring.
Deep.
He continues to pour to me, and he made me realize the Nthabi saying that I was born to be.
True.
I remembered the Nthabi saying, the 16-year-old ambitious Nthabi saying, and he brought that back to me.
True.
Through God who works through him. And he was very I remember there's this incident because when things like these, you even lose yourself most.
Sure.
And I even doubted myself because I felt I didn't deserve him. Besides him being the person that he is, he's very straight. Very straight, And, okay, can press. Let me just close it off. Sorry.
You can repeat or cut it out.
Okay. He's very straight like that, And I said, I don't feel like I deserve you.
Sure.
I've been married more than once. He's been married once. He divorced. I remember even in the initial stages of our conversations, he said, I'm not here to bullshit you. Here's my divorce decree.
Sure.
I am divorced. So I want to be with you. And it's because also the language that we were speaking, because we are both ambassadors in the state of the African diaspora.
Sure.
So we met in that space, So when this particular day, he drove me and we went to the prayer mountain. And he went there and prayed with me and opened scriptures, reaffirming and taking me back to my position.
Sure.
And letting me know that everything I had to go through was not for me.
Yes.
And it was for other women who will need healing. And I remember asking him, I'm an activist and I'm a very radical one. How are you going to handle this?
Sure.
And he says, I will respect your call.
Sure.
I respect your call. In fact, he's the one who rallies me on.
Yeah.
You know, I took everything that I knew about love, that I thought was love, and I intentionally and consciously threw it out the window.
Yeah.
Because the different kind of love that I'm getting, of a man who does not talk too much, who will speak once, and will continue to reassure you of what he said and what he meant when he said that. For me, it's breathtaking.
Yo, that is amazing. Oh, that is amazing. I am so happy. And I wish you all the best, Nthabi.
I'm praying
you
for the
deserve, You
best.
deserve, after everything that you've been through, I feel like literally this is just God saying, listen, I got you. And I was with you the whole time. And this is where I've always wanted you to be. And I wish you all the best, with all the future endeavors.
Thank you, sis.
Thank you so much for joining in, guys. With that being said, this is the end of our Safe Space Chats with Nthabi. And parting words?
Choose yourself as a woman when your space of what is supposed to be love is no longer serving you what it has promised. And when you constantly see that you are losing yourself, you are losing what you were born for, you are losing your light, you are losing your purpose, then that is not love.
Sure.
So if it is not good and if it is abusive, leave.
Sure.
Immediately. Leave.
Amen. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you.
This is the Safe Space Chats, and we're out.